better than COD Vanguard. Okay, for real now, let's start. New Battlefront 2 is better than old Battlefront 2, and it's not even close. The old one did some things better, but it loses when you compare their core gameplay mechanics.
Can I help you?
Get the fuck out of here. The original Star Wars Battlefronts had so much content, scale, and scope. Features that you would never see in the new Star Wars Battlefront. In the new Star Wars Battlefront, it is overly linear, restrictive, doesn't give you any player agency or gameplay freedom. There is a sandbox environment in the original Star Wars Battlefronts. That's why people love it so much. It gave you player agency. It gave you gameplay freedom. There is no comparison. It's not even close. Oh, please. The new one isn't even close. The new one has restrictive linear maps with no map design. You know, I'm sure you're well aware of what map design is, right? Even Call of Duty has map design. It has 2 and 3 lane structures, controlling the way people maneuver through the map. So that way the map has style, feel, and depth. Something that the new games don't have because the new games are one small, condensed, linear arena. The core gameplay of the original Star Wars Battlefronts, it lets you get into multiple different vehicles, multiple different classes. It has a class system that has a different effect on the environment. Each time people actually go into a match, every match plays out differently because of the complex class system. The class system actually makes each battlefield different, and it never plays out the same way. In the new one, the only thing that the class system does is let you shoot differently. That's it. You can't even get in a vehicle whenever you want to. It's only scattered through points. And in Star Wars Battlefront 2015, it was restricted to a coin system. So you don't even have the same player agency you would have in Battlefield. You don't even have the same gameplay freedom that you would have in the original games. So you want to try that again when comparing the core gameplay?
Titanfall 2 isn't that good. I think it's good and fun, yeah, but not to the level the circle jerk would have you believe.
Titanfall 2 isn't that good. Excuse me? That is a refined, brilliant shooter with some of the best FPS mechanics in the entire industry. Not to mention it has some of the best advanced movement and pioneered the advanced movement for many FPS games all around. So again, want to try that again? Circle jerk my ass. They did a great job. Zampella and Weston practically revolutionized shooters. There, I said it. Literally, because so many shooters like Destiny and tons of other games and even Call of Duty copied from Titanfall. They got their advanced movement from Titanfall because Titanfall actually innovated.
Rani is not hot. She's got the figure of a twinky little boy. Y'all are freaks. Republic Commando has not aged well.
Excuse me. Republic Commando, one of the most innovative shooters since Half-Life and Portal? Are you serious? You better take that back. That is so false. First off, Republic Commando had a squad system, which lets you command soldiers in multiple different ways, which made each battle play out differently. Then it had levels that were linear, but they were a little open-ended, and you can traverse the entire level each time. That means the level was practically explorable. That is gameplay innovation. That is gameplay freedom. That is Republic Commando, a legendary game. You better show it some goddamn respect.
From a gameplay perspective, FromSoft practically releases the same thing every time, but people give COD shit. Pick a stance. Do you like formulas or not? You don't hate Fortnite and Among Us. You hate the YouTubers playing them. Man, close your mouth! I can see your uvula. While the modern gaming industry is largely terrible, so are gamers. So maybe this is deserved. This is no longer a hot takes video. This is my manifesto. They are never going to release GTA 6. There's plenty to love in modern gaming, you pretentious hipster. VR chat isn't fun, you're just lonely. VR will never be as huge as they want it to be because it demands physical activity from gamers. Cade 6 is not funny. You only think he's funny because at the start of Destiny 2, he was the only one of the 3 Vanguards to have any kind of personality.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You're welcome.
Shut the fuck up.
What? Cade 6? Dude, I think Destiny is completely overrated. And they did a terrible job with the greedy business practices of Destiny 1 and 2. However, Cade was a great character and he was fucking hilarious. What are you talking about? He actually had decent writing, something that most of the actual storytelling in Destiny didn't have. All the good writing went into just the lore instead of the actual story. So when you have a good character like Cade 6, it should be acknowledged. Again, when it comes to Destiny and all that, as I've stated, you have to understand that when you put a lot of effort into just the lore, but not the actual story, then when you have a character with some actual charm and wit and even depth, yes, that's a pretty good fucking character, and played by Nathan Fillion, a great actor. So that is some next level of false. Come on. Cade 6 was one of the highlights of Destiny. He was one of the single reason that people actually thought it was good, even with all the greedy, ridiculous business practices that Bungie tried to pull. And you actually had a great character that came out of that, despite all the greedy shit that Bungie tried to pull. You still had a great character that came out of that.
Destiny 2 is a good video game.
Destiny 2? Are your standards low? What? Destiny 2 is one of the greediest video games ever made. They literally vaulted away content that the consumer paid for. Yes, that means if you bought the $100 edition back in 2017, goodbye content, that goes out the window. And did they repay you? No. They not only vaulted content, but just like in Destiny 1, they locked content on your disc tray that was already rightfully yours that you already paid for. Yeah, and sold it for DLC when it was content already created and already made and ready. They are greedy as a fucking hell. And the fact that you're defending one of the greediest games, but you had the nerve to get on Star Wars Battlefront, makes you look like a hypocrite.
Miles Morales is just as good, if not better than the first game. Improved on so many aspects from the original, and yeah, it was shorter, but the first one had lame missions. They just made the same game. Once again, I refer you to this. I was disappointed with the ending of Doom Eternal. I wanted to use the big suit to fight the big monster. Unrelated, but I want a Pacific Rim game. Halo fans are the worst fans. This isn't really a hot take, I'm just always looking for an excuse to say this. While we're at it, Halo 3 multiplayer is terrible and boring. I sincerely believe that. You may refer to my tier list.
Oh, come on! Halo 3 is one of the most innovative first-person shooters of our generation, with some of the most incredible maps. You see, the maps, a lot like Halo 2, were interactable. And not only were the maps interactable, but they were sandbox. There was a sandbox-like experience. Halo 3's multiplayer was phenomenal. So many different weapons and choices, so much different aspects to its sandboxy-like environment. You could get inside of ships, you could get inside of a fucking vehicle, you could do all kinds of stuff inside the game. But I remember playing it with my friends, and it was freaking phenomenal. Halo 3 is literally the greatest Halo of all time. It is literally the greatest Halo of all time. I can't believe you would even denounce all the incredible innovations that Bungie made back when Bungie was a company full of passion before they turned into a company full of greed and all those developers left. Halo 3 is the spitting image of the true Bungie passion, of gameplay design, and of gameplay freedom.
Star Wars Squadrons exists. I don't like Knights of the Old Republic. It's so clunky
and boring.
People like to tell me, but the story's amazing. I can't exactly enjoy the story if I want to blow my brains out playing the game. Wanting the new KOTOR to have more modern action RPG mechanic.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Wanting the new KOTOR to have more modern action RPG mechanics is like asking Dark Souls to have an easy mode.
Oh my god, how could you hate on Knights of the Old Republic? Come on, that's one of the most legendary Star Wars games ever made. Just stop it, stop it, stop. This dude got on Republic Commando. This dude got on the original Star Wars Battlefronts. Now he's getting on Republic Commando. Just stop, sit down, sit your ass down, sit your ass down immediately. You don't know what you're talking about. HK-47, Bastilla Shan, Darth Revan, Darth Sion, just stop it. What do you know about that? Oh my goodness, some of the best storytelling in Star Wars history. Expanding the lore on a deeper level than almost every other Star Wars medium ever made. And the gameplay was phenomenal. Something unique and profound. And then don't forget the RPG mechanics. Oh, the RPG mechanics. How could you? What are you talking about? You see, when you say things about games that actually innovated, right? I mean, this is what the thing about what you're saying. You're getting on good games that actually innovated when we get games that don't innovate in the modern era. So you're sending the wrong messages to developers, and when developers see things like that, they'll think, oh, we don't have to innovate. We don't need to do that. We just need to do a successful formula. And you were even getting on Firm Software for that. What are you talking about? Why get on these legendary games? How could you say such nonsense? You better get the fuck out of here with that absolute false information. Let me tell you something. The Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, expanding the lore deeper, having incredible RPG mechanics, Republic Commando, phenomenal FPS gameplay and some incredible freaking levels. The level design in Republic Commando is outstanding, and the squad mechanics are outstanding. Star Wars Battlefront is one of the biggest scale games for open warfare ever made, with so much scale and scope. It gets so intense, especially online. How could you ever say that? And that scale is missing in the new ones, but in the originals they actually had that. You could have at least acknowledged them. Have to get on the games that hard. This is ridiculous, especially KOTOR. Oh my goodness. Get out of here with that. KOTOR, legendary. Republic Commando, goated. It's the original Star Wars Battlefront, unreal. A really bad comparison, because an easy mode for Dark Souls, when you compared KOTOR and Dark Souls, right? Because you want modern RPG mechanics in a game from the early 2000s, which is unreasonable. You're not even being reasonable with the game. You have to take into account when games came out. I keep telling people this and they don't listen. You know, that's the first thing. The second thing is you're comparing an easy mode difficulty of Dark Souls. You're comparing that to RPG mechanics from the early 2000s. That's not the same thing. An easy mode is an easier difficulty for something like Dark Souls, even though the game is fundamentally designed not to have such difficulty options. It's designed the way it is. KOTOR is designed with complex RPG mechanics. It's just old. It's not the same. And when you say the story made you want to blow your brains out, what? This is some of the deepest, most profound storytelling in Star Wars history. Are you even a Star Wars fan? Maybe you're just not into that kind of Star Wars. Maybe you're just not into Star Wars like that. So, of course, it makes sense that someone who's not really a fan of Star Wars like that, like I'm talking a fan, like you watch all the side material, you read the expanded universe, you watch all the films. I'm talking about a fan, man, somebody who's really into Star Wars. You're probably just not into it like that, and that might be why. But don't make the story look bad just because of the fact that you weren't interested. You being not interested is not the objective experience for other people who have experienced the unbelievable amount of storytelling, the excellent, impeccable writing, the phenomenal RPG mechanics, the amazing amount of choice. You better stop.
Are you dumb?
Here's the thing though, I don't want Souls games to have an easy mode, but I want the new KOTOR to have more
Modern mechanics.
because I hate this boring shit.
The new KOTOR to have new modern mechanics? How is that even fair? You realize KOTOR is an old freaking game. What are you talking about? KOTOR's old! Genius! That's like getting on Oddworld Apes Odyssey and saying, yeah, it would be good if it had more up-to-date standards of its movement and gameplay design. It's from 1998, and yet it's actually got incredible animations for the time it came out. And actually, you can argue that KOTOR is a very innovative game for the time that it came out, because there are games that didn't even have the same kind of combat and real-time RPG mechanics that KOTOR had at the time that it came out. Very innovative for its time. And the fact that you're complaining about a game and being unreasonable and saying, oh, well, the reason why the game sucks to you, or you're not interested, or you think it's lame, or whatever you're trying to basically get on this game for, is just because of the fact that it's not modern when it came out in the early 2000s? Do you even hear yourself? How is that fair? How is that reasonable? The game is old, so of course it's not going to have modern RPG mechanics, and you got to take into account when games came out and give it a chance instead of just brushing it to the side all because, oh, it's not up to date. So that means you might as well not even play old games in general. That's ridiculous and unfair, this innovative relic. You can do, I mean, come on, man. That's not fair or reasonable.
This split, in my strong opinion, has caused my mind to become fragmented and broken. Morbius is the Assassin's Creed of movies. Outriders is a real video game. PlayStation has better exclusives, but Xbox has Game Pass, so get fucked, Kratos.
By the way, your response about PlayStation, better exclusives is a big fucking deal. And Game Pass, really? Dude, I'm not gonna sit there and spend a bunch of money for a bunch of games instead of just owning the actual game. I'd rather own the game instead of having to pay over and over and over for a bunch of games when I might not even be able to get to all of them in time anyway, because there's so many. That's ridiculous. No, I'm not paying money for a bunch of games when I can just buy the game itself and play it whenever I want. That's a hell of a lot better, and you can choose what game to actually buy. Then you have exclusives. PlayStation exclusives are phenomenal. Horizon Zero Dawn, Ghost of Tsushima, and we have so many different exclusives. And these, I mean, we have so much and all kinds of games. And we have a large lineup, and games are what make you want to buy a console. Without the games, what's the purpose? You might as well just get a PC at that point, where it's multi-platform. That's what makes you want the console, because it has specific games on there only the console has. And PlayStation has the most out of everybody else, and that's what makes it so great. Now, that doesn't mean PlayStation's the best and all that. PC is probably the best, but the fact that PlayStation has so many exclusives, that is incredible.
Fall Guys was the only fun battle royale, and yet it faded out of popularity. This is because the world is a cruel place. My dog can beat up your dog. Environmentally speaking, Cyberpunk has one of the best open worlds I've played, especially now with the next gen update. Stop sucking game dev cock after they fix their broken game. I'm not saying be a negative Nelly forever, but tone it down. Yeah, they gave you a functioning product that you paid for. That's what they're supposed to do. For example, Cyberpunk. I've been loving the next gen update, but I'm not about to get on my knees, mouth open like the entire subreddit. I've never played BioShock or Witcher 3. Battlefield is worse than COD. Actually, is that really a hot take?
Yeah, that's a hot take. Are you serious? Really? Are you kidding me? You're saying that Battlefield is worse than COD. You're not saying that you prefer, Call of Duty over Battlefield. That's understandable. But you're saying that somehow Battlefield is worse than COD. What the hell are you talking about? When you say that a game like Battlefield is worse than COD, all the scale and scope of Battlefield, all the classes, and all the crazy, unbelievable warfare, all-out warfare, and the realistic first-person shooter mechanics, excellent map design, phenomenal gameplay, tons of different vehicles, and different ways of playing the entire game each match. Are you serious? Versus 2-lane structure, 3-lane structure map. You shoot, it's an arcade shooter. Bam. That's Call of Duty. It's fun. I love Call of Duty. But to say that Battlefield is worse, have you lost your mind? Battlefield has way more innovations than Call of Duty. And I'm just saying, and now it might not be your cup of tea. You could just say that. But to say something like that, yeah, that's a hot take, dude. What are you talking about? Battlefield has innovated more than Call of Duty could ever hope to innovate. And that's because of map design, gameplay, freedom, vehicles, things that Call of Duty does not have, things that COD developers do not do. Because a lot of times when they try to do that, because it's designed as an arcade shooter, it doesn't always work. That's because of COD's design. It's not designed to be that way. So if you try to add those things in there, it doesn't always work. Like when they tried to add that with their battle royale modes and stuff like that, and their ground war and full-scale warfare modes, yeah, it didn't work. That's because Call of Duty's not designed that way. Battlefield is. It's designed that way from the ground up, and even the engine's designed for it. That's why it works so phenomenally well. And if Call of Duty were to innovate more and add more features and stop releasing yearly, they could make things like that work. But you know how that goes. So the fact that you're saying that the game that releases annually over and over and spams games so much that people are now getting on it as a meme versus the games that only release every few years, and yes, they have had bad releases, but they've also had great releases, and then they've also made comebacks. Battlefield 4 made a huge comeback. Battlefield 3 was a great release. Bad Company 2, have you lost your mind? Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3, and Battlefield 4 after the netcode fixes? Are you serious?
Horizon Zero Dawn looks so fucking boring and generic. Please stop asking me to play it. I don't like open world racing games. Yes, that includes Burnout Paradise. The type of racing game I want, I don't know what you call it. Is it Arcade Racer? The type where you pick an event or game mode and just race? Like the first Need for Speed Underground, Burnout 3, Burnout Legends, the Forza Motorsport series, Hot Wheels Unleashed. I don't like open world racing games. Not everything needs to be open world. This needs to stop. At this rate, we're gonna have open world FNAF.
Holy shit. You're gonna make me lose it. You are going to make me lose it. So you just said that Horizon Zero Dawn, one of the most innovative games of our time, is just, it's this and that. Let me tell you something. You can literally travel in a huge, vast open world with giant sentinel robots. There's tons of different people with dialogue choices and options. And you can even rescue people that you've found. You can fight giant creatures. You could ride a giant robot. There's so much content. The content is everywhere. Everywhere you go, there's content. It is an open world marvel full to the brim of content, features, things, places, people. And it's a fleshed out open world environment with a unique combat system separate from any other creative game out there. That is Horizon Zero Dawn. Please show it some more damn respect. Woo! Your takes. You got some hot takes, man. I'm telling you. Star Wars Battlefront, Republic Commando, you better stop it. The games that you're getting on are the games that actually innovated in the genre. Try getting on games that didn't innovate, please. And this was Tarragon, and I am now out this piece. Thank you for watching.